Good morning, everybody. How are you guys? Well, you look great, mostly because it's dark out there. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Nobody likes that humor. They like it when I get picked on, but they don't like being picked on. Well, greetings. Thank you guys for being here. It looks like after you've been in church for a while, and then you start to pay attention to cycles in the life of a church. There are certain weekends where people oftentimes just don't come to church, this being one of them. The weekend after Thanksgiving, actually the first of the year. Father's Day is another one of those days where people don't go to church. Everybody goes to church on Mother's Day. So this is the after Thanksgiving lull, and I am glad that you guys are here, because if you weren't, I would just preach to these chairs right here because I enjoy preaching. So we are kicking off a new series. I don't have a graphic for it, but Bart found a Be Present. And this time of year is about presents and gift giving, and at least that's what we get caught up in our culture. And I want to talk about the idea behind this series is this: the present of presents. That's what I've entitled this series, the present of presents. And here's what I mean. Like, we're going to get some things this year. You're going to give some things, and if you come to our party, you might get you're going to get something lame. You might get something good, because some people bring good gifts. Some people bring funny gifts, and that's the fun that we have at our White Elephant Christmas party. So you are invited to that, and we would love for you to be a part of that. But you're going to get some gifts this year. And the reality that we know, and I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again, is that when we get gifts, whether we want them or not, we oftentimes they just dwindle, and we become less and less excited about these gifts that we get over the course of time. So you might get something really awesome, and you like it for maybe you like it for a whole year. Maybe you got a brand new car, and you love that car, and you keep that car, but 2 years in, you just don't love your car anymore. You start seeing the newer, the fancier one. Oh no, I want the newer model. But here's what I want to say. One of our core values is that you can't do life alone, right? You remember that one? We did our core values series. You can't do life alone. Now, this is the awesome part about people. See, we're talking about gifts this time of year, but I want to say you are a gift. Say it with me. I am a gift. That wasn't loud enough. You didn't convince me. Let's say it again. I am a gift. You are a gift. Some of you greater gifts than others. I'm looking at my wife, and she is a great gift to me. This is the awesome part about people. People, well, you can get tired of people because they can get on your last nerve, maybe, and they just, trample all around on that one. But here's the thing. I fell in love with my wife many, many years ago, and she is a great gift to me. And today, I love her not less because time has passed. I love her more because she is a present. She is a good wife. She is a good thing. She is a benefit to me. The Bible says, he who finds a good wife finds a good thing. And I love that. You people are also gifts to me. I've made a relationship with my friend Kittrick here, and Bart over here, and Gary now rides with me. And these are people who I didn't know before. And I don't expect to not like them anymore. The great part is, as we spend more and more time together, we laugh and we joke, you guys become more of a benefit to my life. I know Debbie now more than I did before, and I love getting to know the facets of her life, what she brings to the table, the encourager that she is. There are things that I get to know about you people, and you guys, and I'm going to say this, are a gift to me. You guys are all gifts to me. And you know what? You guys are never going to end up on the junk pile. I'll never take you to a party and say, this is my white elephant gift. Somebody take him home because I'm tired of him. I'll never say that, because you guys are gifts. And I'm not trying to puff you up. I'm not trying to say, you're something better than you're not. But what I'm saying is that you have value because you're created in the image of God. And you being present and being there is a gift to somebody else. So the idea behind this series is that to be present, that give the gift of presence, the present of presence. And that's the idea behind this series. We're going to have 3 weeks behind this series. Next week, we're going to jump into, there's a whole bunch of one another's in the Bible. There's like 59 one another's, and I won't keep you here all day, but we're going to go through those and how we interact with one another. And then, obviously, the last week before Christmas, we're going to talk about this most amazing gift that we get. And it's the presence of Jesus Christ in our life and the Holy Spirit. So I've kind of laid out where we're going to go. And this week I've got a message for us. And I just want you guys to feel. I want you to realize how much your life is really worth. Because for some of us, it's really sad because we never get to see how much people really cared for us. We don't encourage each other very well. We're not very good at that. And you know what? The sad part about life is that when people come because you've touched their life, your eyes are generally closed and you're laying in a casket. See, but I want you to know, I want to encourage you and say, no matter where you are, no matter where you think you fit in, or how you make a difference, or that you don't make a difference, you do make a difference in people's lives. And your life is a present. And when you are present, it is a gift to people. You guys follow what I'm saying here? The more I do this work, I've got a hair hanging off of me right here. That's going online too. I'm not even editing that out. The more I do this work, the more, you see, I kind of knew some of these things, but the more that I pastor and the more that I get to know people, the more that I realize that people feel very alone. And I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand, but this time of year, lots of people feel very alone. Lots of people commit suicide this time of year because they don't have a place to go and they don't feel like they belong and they don't feel like they are a gift to anybody. They don't feel like anybody, that they even matter. So they just say, well, why live? I'll just take my own life. And it's not even just those people. Lots of us feel alone. Lots of us hate this time of year. I don't particularly have that life experience because I've been loved very well by family and friends and people I've made relationships. But I know there are some of us that struggle with feeling like we are a part of something and that we value this time of year and being present. And even when we're together anymore, we're distracted and we're distant. Have you ever been somewhere physically but not fully present? Have you ever just been there? Like you're there, but your mind is a million miles away. You're just not there. Kittrick reminds me of this sometimes because we'll be talking and he's very singularly focused. When he gets one thing in his mind and he actions on that. Now me, I'm a multitasker, so I can have a conversation. I can also be doing something else. And what he'll do is this is so funny, what he'll do is when he wants my undivided attention, he'll just stop talking. And I'll just look at him and I'll go, I'm listening to you. I realize he stopped talking and he said, I know, but this is important. So I look at him and in that moment he feels like he has my undivided attention. Now, I am distracted. However, he doesn't get me, but I get what he needs. I get what he wants. I get what he desires. He's trying to make a connection, a point. He's trying to say something. I get that. And it speaks to me because I realize that there are often times that I do lots of things. Sometimes I'm a million miles away, even when I'm right here. There are 4, I want to talk about how we've become more and more distant over time. Because this is my own theory. You guys can disagree with it and you'd be wrong. Or you can agree with me and then you'd be right. There are 4 inventions I think that have changed our society, I think, for the worse. I'm not saying they're inherently bad, but I think they've changed us from being present to being distracted, from being close to one another and in relationship to being distant, to creating more loneliness rather than connection. And I want to talk about those. The first one was a television. It really, in television radio. See, families used to come around, have dinner because it got dark at 4:30 in the afternoon like it does right now. And they would come around, they would sing songs together, and they would talk, and they would read, and they would tell stories. And we used to feel very connected. And then this thing called the radio came into the home and the television. and we took our eyes off of one another and we sat in rows like you guys are now and we looked at something else. We paid attention to something else. It wasn't somebody in our room. And we cannot connect with a radio personality on the other side. We cannot connect. We don't get that same connection we get with people who are present in our lives as we do with people who are distant and coming across the digital airwaves. That was the first one. I think it turned us outward and not inward toward one another. The second one was the internet. You remember when the internet came? Remember when you used to actually have to leave your house and go around people and you would take somebody with you to go shopping? All my shopping is done from my phone. I don't take anybody. I can do it laying in my bed watching TV because I'm a multitasker. The internet has given us ways to go to the farthest places on earth. We can travel anywhere without being with anybody. And I think that's been very destructive. One of the worst ones, smartphones. What do? We took TV, radio, internet, we put them all into a device that powers all day. We complain because it works all day long. The thing works all day long. Oh, Bart's shaking his head over there. His doesn't work all day long. He's got a Droid. Buy an iPhone. Just kidding. They're paying me for that. They're not really. Just kidding. But seriously, we have all of those things in our hands right now. I've got TV, radio. I've got anything I want to stream. I've got internet, social media, pictures of my family. I've got all of those on a device that thin that fits in my pocket and lasts me all day long and costs about 12 cents to charge it up. The smartphone has distracted us. And then lastly, social media. Wow. We used to have friends. Now we used to have a few friends. Now we have hundreds of friends that we never even see. And we call them friends. Oh, I'm friendly. I've got a lot of friends because I've got 986 friends on Facebook. Really? Really? When was the last time you saw those friends? Well, I saw 2 of them. So you have 986 friends. You saw 2 of them. How many friends do you really have? How many do you really have? All of these things that promise to make our lives better and more fulfilled, give us more time for the people that help us connect and reconnect with people. And this is disturbing. I don't know, it was months ago. We were at Red Lobster for my aunt's dinner. And I just sat there because it was the end of the table, and I was wrestling a baby, and there was no one to talk to anyways, and the baby wouldn't talk back to me. So I just started looking around, and I saw this sad situation. I saw an elderly mother and probably a man my age. They were sitting at the table, enjoying a meal together, but they both had their phones in front of them the whole time. I didn't see a single word uttered the whole time, and I thought, wow, how distant we've become even in our proximity. How distant our hearts are, how distant our emotions are, even in our proximity. We find meaning and give meaning when we are present. Okay, here, I want you to listen to this. We, as people, find meaning and give meaning when we are present. Presence is a present, a gift to us and to others. See, there's this brilliant commentary that this photographer, I like photography, so I look at other photographers to see what they do and whatnot, and there was this brilliant, it's just social commentary on where we are, and this guy did it through the lens of, and his name is, this photographer's name is Eric Pickersgill, and in his latest photo series, Removed, photographer Eric Pickersgill captures technology-addicted society by removing devices from their hands. Subjects from old to young are photographed while completely consumed by their device everywhere from the streets to the bedroom. Bart, would you throw some of those up on the... Okay, so this is actually the photographer. And you can see, and I can relate to this. There have been times where Janie and I are laying in bed, and that's what we're doing. It looks just like this. Here we are. She is one of the greatest gifts in my life. And I'm laying in bed wasting time looking at who knows what. She's playing a game, or, she's mayor of her Sim Cityville. And this is the experience that we get. We are present, but we are not present. Go ahead, Bart. So go through more of these. Look at this. We've got 4 women. They're obviously best friends. They're all hanging out doing what? They're looking at their phones. They're all looking at their phones. They're just standing there. They're being social, right? This is being social now. We are social because we're involved in social media. They're probably posting pictures of one another and not enjoying each other's presence. Here we've got a couple. It could be enjoying the beauty off this deck out in nature and being present with one another, but they're caught up in Instagram maybe. Here we have another couple. Go ahead, advance that again. This is the family life. This is the experience that we get caught up in now. This is a boating event. This is our kids. Remember when kids used to go out and play in the yard and kick balls and they hit balls into people's windows and toilet paper houses and throw dog poop in bags on people's and ding dong did. Oh, that wasn't you guys? Okay. It wasn't me neither. It was my friends. This is a barbecue now. This is what our lives have been turned into. This is not the present of presence. This is distance. This is feeling alone. This is not connecting with one another. Look at this, just married. Just married. Here they are, starting their lives off, staring at a 4-inch screen. Oh, I can understand that one right there. Here we are. Go ahead. That's enough of those, Bart. I loved when I saw that because I see our culture. We feel so alone, and it's because we are not present with one another. We are not there. So I've been troubled by this phenomenon for years, and this fight of distraction, this battle in my own life. The dilemma here in my own life is this: play with the kids or look at pictures and other kids' pictures on Facebook. Like, seriously, that's my dilemma as a dad. I find myself with my device out and my kids are playing, laughing in front of me, and I'm present, but my attention is on my own device, and I'm seeing what somebody commented. And here my kids are. We hear these songs. It went by so fast. If I only had that time back, right? And what I'm trying to say is, guys, be present. Because my kids are only going to be this little, kicking a ball around my living room, and I could be on the floor playing with them, or I can be distant. Engage my wife in meaningful conversation or browse through deals or something on Amazon. Right? That's what we do. Oh, this thing showed up. Oh, I saw one, I need one. How much does it go for on Amazon? I need one of those. He's got one of those, I need one of those. How much is that on Amazon? Instead of engaging my wife. Eat dinner with my family and find out how my family is doing, or watch YouTube videos on the couch. This is our culture. This is where our culture is going. And it's not meaningful. Another one, have meaningful dialogue with friends at a restaurant or scroll through pictures of others at dinner having meaningful dialogue with their friends. Right? That's what we do. See, we're not meant to do life alone. That's why it's one of our core values. We're not meant to do life alone. We were not meant to have a digital interaction because it doesn't hit the spot. It's counterfeit. Nobody ever goes, wow, I feel so full. Like, I know you guys went to a Jimmy Buffett concert, weeks ago, and you went with Justin and Vanessa, and it was such a fun experience because you did life with people, and it filled you. You could sit at home and just look at pictures from the Jimmy Buffett concert, but it's not the same. And here in society, here's what we have. Instead of enjoying the concert, I'm sure there were people standing in front of you with their cameras up, recording what they're never going to watch again. It's like a fireworks show. How many fireworks shows have I recorded on my phone because I'm like, this is awesome, I'm going to watch it later, in which I never watch it later, but I also robbed myself of the experience the first time to hold my daughter in my arms and just go, wow, that one's big. That one's so loud, baby girl. Or my son. How do you think those go off, Easton? How many times have I been caught up in this digital life and not been present where I'm at, where I want to be? See, these digital relationships and interactions don't hit the spot they're not meant to. They're not the real thing. They're not presence. They're not real relationships. They're not tangible connections. Social friends are not real friends. Real friends talk, hug, touch, laugh, come to your home, go on dates, visit restaurants, come to parties, cry. They struggle with you. These are what real friends do. These relationships bring meaning to our lives. desire for real relationships is innate. And I'm trying to say, this time of year, let's be present. We're going into this time where we can be present or we can be distant. Let's be present and see how God might use us in people's lives. Let's build those relationships. Let's hug and laugh and cry with people. Let's be filled in these relationships. That's what this whole time of year is about. Someday these relationships we invest in are going to bring us much comfort. Day to day, some of the best friends, I just like reconnecting with high school friends that we had some real experiences together. And you ever have that friend where you can just like, you couldn't see them for 20 years and then you meet up with them and it's like you're just hanging out with them yesterday? Yeah. It's because you really connected with them, because they were a gift, because there's presence. Someday these relationships are going to bring us much comfort, and they will day by day. I'm going to jump into the book of Job today. I'm not going to read all about Job, but I want to talk about, there's a man in the Bible named Job. And it says that he was a very righteous man, the most righteous man on the earth at his time. He loved God and he served God. His sons and daughters would actually get into the house together and they would throw parties, and he would be worried that they drank too much or that they sinned. So when it was all done, he would go and pray for them, and he would pray over the home, and that's what he loved God so much. He wanted to make sure and care for his family well. And here's what happened to him is that the Bible, we're not going to get into all of it because I'm going to go long if we do. But there's a moment where Satan says, let me tempt him, and let me see if he'll still love you. And this is the relationship we have with God. It's a love relationship. It's a desire relationship. See, God is always trying to pull us in, woo us in, bring us into his bosom, to be close, to be present with us. And see, the only way that Satan can have relationship with us is by temptation. Nobody wants to love Satan. Satan can tempt us, but God can woo us with his love and the desire for him. So Satan said, he's trying to get at God, and he says, well, let me tempt Job and let me harm him. And God says, no, you may not harm him, but you can go ahead and wreak havoc in his life. So here's what happens. In chapter 1, it says that he had tons of oxen and donkey, and his first servant came running to him and says, you've lost all of your oxen and all of your donkeys. That's a bad day, right? He had thousands of them. And the servant comes and says, Job, you've lost all of your oxen and all of your donkeys. And that's a bad day. Like, I've lost my keys. That's a bad day. But I didn't lose, like, my livelihood. My oxen, that was livelihood back then. That was wealth. And then before he was done, another servant comes and says, hey, I was with your other servants and we were taking care of your sheep, and they are all gone also. You've lost all of your sheep. Now, this is turning out to be a very, very bad day. And before he's done, another servant comes and says, you've lost all of your camels. They were raided, and you lost all of your camels. So his wealth, which he was a wealthy, blessed man, is dissolving right in front of his eyes in one day. And then lastly, his servant comes and says, your sons and daughters were partying, and the house collapsed on itself, and they are all dead. So he lost all of his oxen, donkey, sheep, camels, and all of his children in one day. Would you guys agree with me that's a bad day? That's a bad day. See, he had 7 sons and 3 daughters, and that's a bad day. Some people have lost 1 child, and that's a bad day. This is a bad day. Job is going to need some friends around. And after he lost all this, I love this, because I don't know whether my heart would be here, but this relationship with God. Here's what happens in Job 1, verse 20 and 21. It says this: at this news, Job got up and tore his robe and shaved his head. Then he fell to the ground in worship, and he said, naked I came from my mother's womb. Here's what he's saying. I came into this world with nothing but the skin on my back. Naked I came into my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave all of these things in my children, and the Lord has taken away. And he says, may the name of the Lord be praised. I hope that my heart could be there. So then in the second chapter of that's not bad enough. See, Satan goes to the devil, or Satan goes to God, and he says, "Well, that didn't go well for me. Your servant Job still worship you." He said, "Blessed be your name, even though all these things have come to pass." He says, "Let me harm him." He says, "Go ahead." He says, "Have your way with him, but do not kill him." So he strikes him with boils, head to toe. I've gotten mosquito bites. Like I went camping one time with a friend to a place called Taboose Creek. I think it was called Mosquito Haven, because we stayed there, and I literally probably had 200 mosquito bites in the course of one night on my body, and I thought I was going to die. I was actually praying for death. I wanted to die. Mosquito bites are not boils, and Job got boils all over his body. And this is what happens in Job chapter 2, 9 through 13. After he gets the boils, his wife, who is not very encouraging, says this: "Are you still maintaining your integrity? Curse God and die." He replied, "You are talking like a foolish woman. Shall we accept good from God and not trouble?" In all this, Job did not sin in what he said. What I want to look at now is the way that Job's friends, because we're talking about the present of presence. See, I'm talking about there's going to be a time in your life when you have a Job moment. There's going to be a time in your life where somebody dies. And if you're alone, you're going to want to be comforted. There's going to be a day where you lose your job. There's going to be a day where you get evicted from your home. There's going to be a day where some things go bad. I hope you never have a day like Job did, but I hope that you have people around and you can say, "Blessed be the name of the Lord." And I want to talk about Job's friends, because I want us to have friends like this. I want us to invest in people so we have friends like this. And I want us to be friends like this. And here's what it says in verse 11. Then Job's three friends, Eliphaz, Temanite, and Bildad, the Shuhite, and Zophar from Nehemite, heard about all the troubles that had come upon him. They set out from their homes and met together by agreement to go and sympathize with him and comfort him. And when they saw him from a distance, they could hardly recognize him. They began to weep aloud, and they tore their robes, and they sprinkled dust on their heads. Then they sat on the ground with him for 7 days and 7 nights. No one said a word to him, because they saw how great his suffering was. They sat on the ground for 7 days and 7 nights. Have you ever sat on the ground? It's not comfortable to sit on the ground. It's not comfortable. If I made you sit on the ground for this 30 minutes while I speak, you would want to get up and get out of here. Probably because of the speaking, not the ground so much. But you get what I'm saying. It's not comfortable to sit on the ground. And they went and sat with him. So there's some takeaways that I want to take away from here. Because obviously, Job, he had relationship with these guys. They were his friends, and they're real friends. How many of us could say, "Man, if I lost all that, I would have at least a few friends that would come and sit with me for a week"? Gosh, I don't know that I have that. How many of us would say, "Wow, if a friend of mine lost all that, I would go and sit with them for a week"? Wow, that'd be really difficult for me. I would have to put my life on hold for a week. So let's look at what Job's friends did. First off, they came to him. How many times have we or have you gotten a letter in the mail or oh, my dad, how many of you seen this on Facebook? Oh, my parent passed away, such and so forth. And you just see posts like praying or people who like it. I don't get that one. I don't get it. Oh, my dad passed away. Like, seriously? How do you like a post like that? Or people, your friends, say, praying, thinking of you, thinking of you, praying, thinking of you. How many of those really bring comfort? How many of those bring comfort? You get a letter in the mail. Okay, I got a letter in the mail. How about when somebody comes and sits with you in the hospital when you're in the hospital for days? How about when somebody comes to your home and brings soup and feeds you and has a conversation and just loves you? See, they didn't send somebody. They didn't send a letter. They didn't write a note. They got up from their homes, and it wasn't like our day where they get in their car, fire it up, put the radio on, cruise 3 miles down the road, and get to your house. They had to travel. They had to go a great distance to be with him. So they got up. They didn't send a message to their servants or expect Job to come to them. They went themselves to be with their friend in his time of need. I want to be that kind of friend. I want you to be that kind of friend. I want us to be that kind of friend for people. Second thing, when they saw the extreme toll Job's suffering was having on him, they wept loudly, tore their robes, and threw dust over their heads. This was all gestures of mourning. See, we don't have to say anything when somebody's mourning. That's always the awkward part, right? When you see somebody who lost a family member, you want to say something, but you don't have to say anything. Oftentimes it's better if you just don't say anything. Oh, it's going to be okay. That's not what people want to hear. Have you ever been in that situation and wanted to hear, oh, it's going to be okay? Oh, at least you had 59 years with your dad. Oh, at least. Oh, at least. Oh, at least. Nobody wants to hear, oh, at least. Nobody wants to even hear your voice, but you know what they do want? They want you to stand there and give them a hug. They want you to cry with them. They want you to be there with them. They want to know that you are there. Your presence is a gift in that moment. Another thing they did, they sat on the ground with Job for 7 days and nights. These guys sat there for a week. They didn't say anything. They were just there. The present of presence. Here's what I'm saying. You guys bring value when you go into a room because Jesus lives inside you. You guys bring comfort. You are men and women of peace. And when you are there, it is a gift. You are a gift of presence. Your presence is a gift to somebody, as their presence was a gift to somebody. See, this type of friend isn't a Facebook friend. These friendships weren't formed by engaging in Facebook comments back and forth. These people engaged one another. These friends bring a lot of comfort in dark times, and these kinds of friends are fun to be with in the good times. See, I'm saying you are a present. Your life is a present. God has designed you and made you uniquely to be with people who you are around. It's not a coincidence you have the friends you have, the relationships that you have. You are to be this type of friend, and people in your life are to be this type of friend for you. They will be there when your life goes awry, just like Job's did. See, someday we're all going to need a friend like Job did, ones that will just sit and be with you. Those friendships are made in the good times by being present. See, the reason I talked about our phones and Facebook and all those things is that, see, right now is the time when we spend these times, these moments at Christmas and at Thanksgiving, when we spend these moments laughing with one another and going out to dinner and joking with one another and praying with one another. It's all of those one another's that I'm going to talk about next week. It's all of those things that build in us the relationship that allows us to be comfort and to bring joy into another's life. See, you guys don't get old. You physically get older, but you don't get old to somebody. You're not like a PlayStation 4. You're not like the new iPhone that 6 years from now is going to be in a junk pile or our kids are going to be throwing them on the ground. You're not that. You have value and you bring peace and you bring grace and you bring mercy into people's life when you are present. You are a gift. I am a gift. You are a gift. I've already heard just from us gathering together how much of a gift that was for Thanksgiving in several people's lives. I've never had a Thanksgiving like this because we were present, because we laughed, because we joked, because we celebrated together Thanksgiving and we ate food together. See, that's what is a gift to us. When people say, I hate the holidays, it's because they haven't had good experiences. They don't have anything wrong with Thanksgiving. There's nothing wrong with the idea of Thanksgiving. It's just always been bad. There's nothing wrong with Christmas. It's just always been bad because the people I've been with have not been healthy. It hasn't been a healthy environment. Here's what I'm saying. We get to be a present to people. You are a gift when we operate this way. It was funny. I had just written this out, and I have a friend who actually called me on Thanksgiving evening. She just needed a friend. She just needed someone. She had worked all day. She hadn't been around people, and she just needed somebody to talk to. And I talked to her the next day. I said, "Hey, I'm busy. I can't be with you. I know you know that I love you." And she said, "I know." She said, "Be a blessing where you are." And I was being a blessing then. And I talked to her the next day, and she said, "I called some people, and what I got on the phone was, hey, you know what this is? You're just feeling down because of that. Let's pray about it." It was a 3-minute phone call and a hang up. And I talked with her, and she said, all I wanted was somebody to be with me. I just wanted to be present. I wanted to be with somebody. And it's funny that it happened just right after, it was the day after I had written this. And I said, well, can I share your story? She said, absolutely. See, we need relationships. Even if you think you don't, even if you think you're all good, you online, if you think you're all good and you're not with people, you need to be with people. Our presence is a gift. Others' presence is a gift. We just have to walk in that. We have a couple more weeks of this series. Next week is going to be really interesting because there are, people will want to argue and say, I don't need to be a part. I love Jesus from my home. I don't need to be part of a church. I don't need to be part of a group. I don't need to be in relationships. I can just come to the meeting on Sunday and then go home. But you don't get the benefit of what the church is. And they say, oh, it's okay. I can still hear the message at home. I can hear it online. I can do this. I can do that. But you don't get the benefit of being in the presence of God's people and feeling the love that we have tangibly for one another. And I'm going to make that case next week because we're going to go through these one another's, and people say, hey, it's okay to be alone and be a follower of Christ. The answer to that is actually no, it's not. Because we're going to look through all throughout the Bible where it says, love one another, care for one another, bring joy to one another. It goes on and on. 59 one another's is said throughout our Bible. Be with one another because we were created for one another. Our presence is a gift to one another. If you guys would you just bow your heads this morning. God, I don't know what you're doing in our lives. Whether you're watching online or you're here with us this morning, I want to, God, if I could just coax people to be in relationship. And I've heard this so many times, relationships are so hard. They're just so hard, and it's true, they are hard, but they're the only thing in this life that's fulfilling. Relationship with you and relationship with people. This is the only thing that's fulfilling. When we don't have that, we feel alone. God, I pray for those who are struggling in relationship this morning. And they say, I don't want to be part. I've gotten hurt. God, I pray that your Holy Spirit would speak to our lives and say, let's try one more time. Let's get back up on the bike. I know that bike was fun to ride for a little while, and then I crashed and I skinned my knee, and I don't want to get back on the bike because if I get back on the bike, I could get hurt again. And then we forsake all the joy that we have riding on the bicycle. God, I pray that your Holy Spirit would give people the courage and the energy to get back into relationship, to be present, to put our phones down and to be present and to put our devices down and turn the tube off and turn ourselves inward to one another, that we would love one another well, that we would build these relationships where we get to be a gift to somebody else, where we get to have our friends be a gift to us in times of need. God, you know that it's my desire that we build a culture of people who love one another well, because I believe that's what preaches to the world. When they feel empty, they say, that place is different. God, that's what we want to be here. So I pray for each and every person here, whether we're struggling in relationship, or whether we're distracted in relationship, or whether we're not present when we're present. God, I pray that you would convict us and have us take steps forward, because growing things change. And we want to grow more and more into your image. We ask this all in your precious name. Amen.